Hello, my name is Bryce. With me today is Phylis Mantelli. She's an author, life coach, and motivational speaker at Phylis Mantelli. And I'm super excited to be able to share a story with you, talk about her book, dig into some of her life experiences, and see exactly what wisdom she can impart on us today. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Phyllis.
Thank you.
Oh,
It's
you're
great to
welcome.
be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. And before we go any further, for those watching, if you're watching this from any location that is outside of our free community, I just want to personally invite you inside. It's taken a very, very, very long time to create and foster such a positive group of individuals who actually want to see each other succeed. So if that's what you've been missing in these socially displaced times, come and join us by clicking the link either above or below. See you inside. Now, Phyllis, what was life like before you got into authoring, speaking, and coaching? What was the catalyst that brought you into the space?
Yeah. Well, way different from what I'm doing now. So I actually was raised in a extremely violent, dysfunctional background, and pretty much saw violence from the age of 4 years old on. And at 8 years old, my mom actually took my brother and I and left in the middle of the day while my dad was on a long day. My dad was a long distance truck driver, and she took us and packed up the family and moved away. And my father came home to an empty house and no family. And so at 8 years old, my whole life changed because my mom moved in with somebody else who ended up being my sister's father. She was pregnant by another man. She had been having an affair and found out she was pregnant, and she panicked and just kidnapped us and took off.
Wow.
And so that started this whole journey of like total dysfunction and just craziness of my dad looked for us for 3 months while he was still trying to work. After that, we saw him very sporadically throughout my life. And my mom just continued to make these terrible life choices. And so I was a witness to that. I became the mother to my mother because she didn't think rationally. And now looking back, I believe she did have bipolar. So growing up in that kind of structure, you learn to not trust a lot of people. And also you grow up really fast learning how to survive. And so rightfully so, I grew up very rebellious, angry, mistrustful, and I made probably every mistake that any person, any child would make growing up in that kind of environment. And it was just sort of a survivor technique, and just would glom on to different guys and got into drugs, the whole typical kind of thing, just really living a bad lifestyle and just trying to figure life out. And through a series of a lot of different mistakes, I'll say the catalyst was I married someone at 25 years old. By 26, I was pregnant with my first child, and my son was born with congenital heart disease. And he had emergency heart surgery at 4 days old. And so at 26 years old, I was faced with this life-changing thing, and he did not survive. So I had to make the decision to take him off life support. And it's just not something that you ever think your life is going to become. And so at that point, I say now he was my biggest tragedy and my biggest blessing, because I had to just get knocked over the head to say, this thing that you're doing called life is serious, and you need to stop playing around with just decisions that are not really thought out. And I was in a marriage that I wasn't happy with to begin with, and then this happened. So one day I was sitting at the kitchen counter after this had all taken place, and I was just so confused as where's my life going? I don't understand. And I audibly heard a voice saying, start over. And so I walked out of that marriage, and I called a friend. I had no job, no nothing, because I thought I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. And I said, I have nowhere to live and I need a job. And she said, you could sleep on my couch for 3 months. And I work at this place that's hiring. And I started my life over at 26. And I started this slow journey of just trying to figure out like what I wanted out of my life. And it didn't include just going from person to person to make me happy. It was a journey of trying to figure out what is going to make Phylis happy and being comfortable in my own skin. And so at 35, I became a Christian. I was remarried at the time and pregnant with my second daughter. And life just started changing. I really started looking at my life through a different lens, and I have never looked back since. And in between that time, I started sharing my story. I started helping as a small group leader in Bible studies, and these young girls would come up and tap me on the shoulder and say, can I talk to you? I think I'm struggling with my past. I've grown up in that kind of family. And I started meeting with these girls. And then about 6 years ago, I got another, I'll say, spiritual tap on my shoulder to write a book, because I was mentoring tons of girls. Like, they were constantly coming up to me, and I thought, man, there's a lot of family dysfunction going on, and it's hard to meet with all of them. But if I had something where I could go out and talk about it publicly, and there's a book there, then I could take that journey. And so that's really where my journey began. I started going to writers' conferences and learning all I could about the writing world. And I figured out that those were my people. Really resonated with writers and speakers, because we think differently. We look through a lens that is, we're constantly writing content in our head. And so that just really fit into my psyche. Like, it just really resonated with me. And so I have just enjoyed every minute of being a part of this. And in September, I wrote my first book called Unmothered: Life with a Mom Who Couldn't Love Me. And it's actually a love story, because my mom was in and out of my life. And then when I was pregnant with I had just had my first daughter, my mother broke her hip, and the hospital called me, and I had not talked to her in probably a year and a half. And God took me on a journey again, and I took care of my mom for 16 years while I was raising my daughters, until she passed from dementia in 2007.
Wow. I'm sorry for your loss. Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
I'm like, what do you
It's a big old life right there.
Oh, man. That's like 5 or 6 lifetimes in 35 years.
Yeah. Well, by that time I was pushing probably close to 50 by the time she passed. But yeah, but she taught me a lot. I actually pulled some good qualities that my mom also taught me. And so that's part of the book too, is, not everyone is all bad or all good. And so I think it's important to recognize that you can still, you can grow up in this really crazy lifestyle or past, but if you could just find those little tiny nuggets, even if it's she made me stronger, then it's a good thing.
Let me ask you this question. So where can people go to maybe learn more about the book, or maybe pick up a copy? Or?
Well, the book is on Amazon. It's published by Redemption Press. And so Redemption Press also sells it. If they go to my website, it's all tied into there. They can find the book there. We actually have a Unmothered site connected to Phylis Mantelli. And I also have blogs on there too.
So what is the URL address they can type in?
It's phylismantelli.com.
Excellent. I think another thing that not a lot of people talk about or really understand is the process of building like a platform to actually, get your books out there. Can you maybe talk about what's taken to do that, what that looks like for, people who don't have $1 million to throw into selling a book?
Well, yeah, and I will tell you, when you go on the writing process, and we were talking earlier, I just started a 4-week memorable memoirs writing course, and part of that is learning about platform and branding, and it is something that we don't think about. When I started the journey, it was like, oh, I just want to write a book. And you think it's about the writing, and it is about the writing, but it's also about the basic thing is, a lot of times people don't have a website, and they don't realize you have to pay to get your name and secure that domain name, which is the most important thing to do first right off the bat, is to claim your name and keep that going, always have that ready to go. And I would say, for people wanting to write a book, is the first thing you want to do is really get that website put up, which is going to cost you some money. So there is money involved when you're starting to write a book. You have to know that there is, some things that you have to pay for. And if you don't know how to do websites, which I don't, I'm that old school. I'm 62, so I am not from a computer age. And so my daughter works for me now, my youngest daughter, and I had a web designer and a branding person. And so they walked me through the whole thing of, it's not, when you build your website, you really have to think about what colors you like, what kind of aesthetics you like, what do you want that website to look like? Because that's part of your branding, is who are you, and what is that website going to represent? So someone who really knows about branding and platform and things like that is really going to be someone that you would want to hire to help you find your voice in that. And then social media, you have to become present on social media and make sure that you are on there every day, and not on all of them at the same time. There's a staggering that comes with that too. So it's just like this whole other business that you acquire when you get into this writer world. You have to find your voice out there in the social media world so that then people see you. And I would also say, as a writer, you do have to go to these writers' conferences and speaker conferences, because the writing world will embrace you. You will make so many contacts and so many friends. They will help you with your book sales. There's also a book launch team that you can acquire when you get to that place where your book is ready to launch. I had a launch team manager that was amazing, and she walked me through that whole process. So there's a lot more that goes into just writing a book. There's a whole background of things that you have to get ready, because publishers look at the numbers of how many followers you have and what's going on. And I didn't go with a traditional publicist, which publishing companies, you have to have tens of thousands of followers, and that's really, really hard to do. And I think it's easier if you're younger. I went with a hybrid publisher, and so they didn't so much look at the numbers as the story. They believed in the story, and they knew that the story would have legs. And so there's just different things you have to look at with, how you're going to brand yourself, what your platform's going to be about. And those are all things that you have to prepare for even before that book comes out.
Nice. Yeah. I guess I take that for granted, right? Being able to just build audiences. That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that, I think that's a big thing with like creatives, even with managing my brother. He's a professional musician, but when we were first getting started with him, everything is about, okay, the song, the music video. And I'm like, no. We got to get the people to know you exist, man. That takes a little bit of money, that takes some time.
Yeah.
Blessedly had like someone who specializes in getting audiences, but that's a great point. And can they also go learn about that program at your website as well?
They can contact me. It's pretty new. I've been doing kind of some beta testings with some clients. It's been going really, really well. And so eventually we're going to have a video series. I have the written content done and I'm doing one-on-ones right now. But eventually we'll do like an evergreen kind of thing on a platform where we'll have it with a, you know, a snippet of a video and then the worksheet. And I might pop on there with a free 5th week to just do a Q&A if they're interested in doing that. I would love to have like a group of people come in at the same time. That's a lot easier to teach that way.
Nice. Thanks for your time today. I really appreciate just learning more about you and just really connecting with you.
I appreciate you doing this. This is great.
Oh yeah. You know, it's always fun to be able to kind of share a platform. Like it's taken a long time to get 20,000 followers. So it's like always great to be able to like help someone else get there faster. But yeah, and just for those watching, see, that's the reason why we do this, right? It's to build a sense of community and really get to know who you're connected to. So if you've been struggling to really, you know, just improve your business or improve your life, come and join us inside of our free community. There's someone in there who will love to help you out. Also, hopefully you enjoyed watching this as much as we enjoyed creating it. Feel free to hit the share button so other people can get some great value as well. Have a great day. Join the community. We'll talk to you soon. We're done recording in 3 and 2 and